says here we're not broadcasting yet, but I've learned that I can't trust that completely. Come on, come on, come on. All right. It still says I'm not broadcasting, but I'm afraid that I am. So let's just go ahead. All right. So this is, as I called it in the title there. There we go. Now we're going. This is second oil glaze. And then essentially after the second glaze, I will be continuing with final edit and maybe some broken color. Or whoops, hang on. I forgot to do something before I start the final glaze. Let's reintroduce some abstract stuff. These are oil sticks, and as you may know or you may guess, that if I glaze on top of these with brush on top of them, these colored marks will become much more diffuse, and that is correct. All right, let's get official and legal here. This is Daily Art Adventure number 791. Can you believe it? Second oil glaze. Final edit and a side of broken color. I do not require myself to do all of those. I'm just open to doing all of them. All right, so here's the rule when you do a glaze. You've heard it before. Number one, say, well, I like it pretty much. That's what you say about your painting. Hello, Richard. Good to have you. Do you hear what I do? And let's make sure we're not getting any fuzz. All right. So you say, I like it pretty much. I just wish it was more blank. And the blank is a color. No, you may not say, I like it pretty much. I just wish it was more better. No, that is no. That is most certainly not what we're after here. And I'm talking about your painting. I'm talking about when you're painting. When you do your painting, before you do your glaze, you say, I like it pretty much. That is absolute requirement. You have to say, I like it pretty much. I just wish it was more blank. And the blank is a color or tone. Now, you can't say, I wish it was lighter, because you're about to glaze it, which means by definition it's going to get darker, right? If you put a piece of any colored glass in front of your painting, the painting by definition is darker because you're looking through a piece of colored glass, no matter what color the glass is, right? All right. So you can't say, I want it to be lighter. And you don't need to say, I like it pretty much, but I wish it was darker, because with a glaze, by definition, you're going to make it darker. So you don't say lighter or darker. You say color. Or you can also say an anti-color. Like, in essence, that's what I was doing here a minute ago with my painting. I said to myself, I like it pretty much. And indeed, I do. So I'm not lying to myself. I do indeed like it. I just wish it was less green. Now, I could, because I'm an artist and understand color, it's just as easy for me to say, I wish it was more red, which is anti-green, right? But if you're not real savvy with your colors yet, then you're allowed then to say, I wish it was less green. If you wish it was less yellow, then you would add blue or purple to it. If you wish it was less orange, then you would add blue to it, and so on, just up across the color wheel, okay? So what I said a minute ago was, I like it pretty well. I just wish it was more red, or actually, to be more precise, reddish purple. And as you can see, all those marks that I made, for instance, see there was a red stroke there, a squibble there and there, and they're all now nicely pushed back. You can still see them, but they're much more subdued. Here's another one down here. See that red, blue? See that blue streak right there? and red right there, blue down here. Right, now if I don't like any of those, like I think that blue, there we go. So I just rubbed it a little bit more with a brush and pushed it back just a little bit more. What surprises me, honestly, is how often these crazy abstract marks, they have no reference to realism whatsoever. They're purely abstract. They're not part of the picture. What surprises me is how good they look. Almost always. Here's another. Just a minute ago, I did this big red streak. Has nothing to do with trees. But it looks good. All right, so there you go. There's a free tip. As if you weren't getting enough free tips already. All right, now I'm happy to say the painting is noticeably improved already, just with that tiny bit of work. And it's going to be improved yet even more in just a second when I come in here and start lifting out stuff. This lifting out paint is such a delightful tool. You should be very aware of it and how it can serve you in your painting. It irritates me even to wipe with just one hand. So let's switch to the other hand here for a minute. All right, wow, painting looks better already. Just colors are richer. Why? Because ain't a color made that don't look better with something else on top of it. Or, in other words, transparent colors are more complex and richer, more interesting than opaque colors. And so right at the moment, there are virtually no opaque colors on the canvas. Every bit of the canvas has at least a tiny bit of transparent glaze on top of it. But now I'm coming in and reintroducing little tiny bits, again, less area than the last time, reintroducing little tiny bits of opacity. And just for instance, to be real obvious and technical, the last time I did, last night when I was doing this, basically this warm color, see, I painted an area about this large with that opaque warm color. And just now, in the last couple of minutes, with this essentially the same color, but look how much smaller an area. Does that make sense to you? So with each subsequent layer, if you will, you cover fewer acres. I like to say you cover fewer square inches or millimeters, however you like to measure your stuff. You cover less of an area. So then I'm achieving here just even a little bit more pop, a little bit more glow of that sun coming through the trees. And I anti-greened this entire thing, and oh my goodness, here in person, I'm sorry you can't see it in person, it looks so much better. Now the greens that I have there, there's still the variety, you know, bluish green, yellowish green, brownish green, and so on. There's still variety, but it's all been browned a little bit, even though I didn't paint brown, I painted purple on that green. So it shifted it across the color wheel to some degree. Now the next thing I'm going to do is mix up a green, and I want to come in here and just paint a few real distinctive leaves, all different colors. So right now I'm trying to mix up about a number 4 value, a little bit light, and a little bit warm, a little bit on the yellow end of the green spectrum. And I'm going to do just like I did right there. I really haven't painted, you know, it's a little bit too bright, a little bit too light, so I'm going to darken it down a little bit. Up until now, I really haven't painted any or many leaves per se. By that is, I mean intentional individual leaves. Does that make sense? Everything up until this point has pretty much been bunches of leaves. All I need to do is add just a few impression of individual leaves. And then our brain will turn all the rest of my smudges into leaves. The danger here for me would be to do too many of these. Too many of these individual leaves will kill this painting quicker than a something something. I'm going to darken that down even one more time. I'm still a little bit lighter and brighter than I want it to be. So let's pull in the big guns and do some ultramarine blue, which is a purplish blue and a little bit of orange. So now, whereas I started out with about a number 4 value, now I'm at about a number 6. One of the other things, what my mind is doing during this stage, during this phase, besides painting just a few individual leaves, I'm looking for any splotches and any, oh, that's right, there's one over here. Any areas on the painting, especially dark marks, that don't look like tree. Does that make sense? That don't look like branches or chunks or leaves. But especially if it's dark. So I already fixed a couple of them, and that might take care of it. That might be all I need to do. So I'm trying to give the impression of foliage, trying to give the impression of leaves, bushes, trees, without rendering, drawing, forcing, controlling my way into painting foliage. Does that make sense? So it's more like I'm setting up a process, a painting process, where foliage-looking stuff will result without me getting all finicky, hyper-controlled. Making up words all the time, I know. It's a strength of mine. Okay, I might be nearly finished with this. I'll call it a number 6 value. Let's do, at one point yesterday, I said, I'll probably come in here. I'm just going to be right into it. Let me move you for a minute. This is one of those moments. I think I need to do this with my right hand. I'm trying to do just a few pine needles. Not many. Up here. So that it's clear, so that our brain then turns all the rest of this I just paint a few of these marks, individual pine needles, isn't that crazy when you think about it? I mean, how many pine needles are there in this scene? The answer is millions. Thousands anyway, tens of thousands in the real scene, in the photograph. But I can just get away with painting about 15 or 20 of them, and your brain will take care of the rest. Does that make sense? That might be enough right there. 2 more, maybe. All right. Here, I'll let you see that up close for a second. Do you see those pine needles? So just that little bit there. That's just one of the oldest tricks in painting. That is not anything unusual with me or new with me. That's classic old painting technique. If you're painting a brick wall, how many bricks do you paint? If you want to give the impression that there are 10,000 bricks in this wall, how many bricks do you paint? The answer is 4, 15, 20. Depends on your level of abstraction. But you just paint a few. All right, now I think I'm done with that color. Now I'm going to go back the other way now. It's where it took me several steps to get a green dark enough. Now I'm going to go back the other way and create a lighter green. It might be too light, but I'll play with it for a while. It's about a number 3 value now. You understand what I mean when I'm saying a number. I've said 4. 4, 6, and now 3. I'm referring to a 10-degree grayscale. If you simply Google, I did this the other night because I was teaching for a moment. Just pick up your phone and say grayscale. If you want even to say 10-degree grayscale, and hit the word image, hit the image button, you will very quickly come up with a picture of a grayscale. Now, the best way to do a grayscale, anytime I teach a semester-long class in painting, especially in watercolor or graphite or charcoal, early in the semester, the students are all required to create their own. It's really, if you make a grayscale, you're much more intuitively conscious, aware of it, rather than if you just download one. But anyway, I'm telling you right now, you can just download one, look at it. Anyway, so when I'm referring to those numbers, most grayscales, now photographers have screwed this up. They are the opposite. Because a photographer is adding light to his film. So the more light he adds, the higher his number gets. Does that make sense? So to a photographer, a number 10 is white and a number 0 is black. But to most painters, because generally speaking, we're adding darkness to, if you will, to a white canvas or a light canvas. For us, painters normally, now, and this is not a hard and fast rule, but I'm just letting you know, for me, the higher number equals darkness. So for me, in my world, 0 is white and 10 is black. All right, so when I say what I've got on my brush right now is about a number 4. Again, we're back to 4. That means it's a little bit lighter than right in the middle. This step, what I'm doing right now, shouldn't, if I'm doing it right, it shouldn't take very long. This should be a pretty quick step. I just mixed up about a number 6 and much more of a olive green, army green color. Lots of brown in it. And then I'm coming in to areas that already have this color on them, that they already have a brownish green tinge to them. I'm just doing a few highlights. Oh, it's making such a difference. I'm not bragging, I'm rejoicing. I'm saying, whew, what a relief. When I came up and looked at my painting this morning, it was like, Did you ever have that feeling? You look at a painting you worked the day before, and when you come back, you just kind of go, you know, I'm not as thrilled with it as I would hoped I was. Not to panic, buddy, if you're watching. It happens all the time. But just the few minutes that I've spent, I don't know how long have I been going now? 15, 20 minutes? Just the few minutes that I've spent has taken the painting from to whoa. Okay? And I haven't even started, I will here in a minute, I haven't even started messing around with broken color. I've still got green on my brushes. So pretty much in this painting, anytime I've got green on my brushes, you know I'm probably not dealing with broken color. All right, let's switch. Let's make that transition right now. All right, hello, Karen and Richard. Thank you. Merry Christmas to you and yours. Can you do more than one glazing layer? Yes, Richard, thank you for asking. Yes, absolutely. I did a glaze, now in oils, now in acrylics, I did a whole bunch of glazes. This is layer number, I forget, 13, maybe 14 on this painting. It's the second oil glaze, and absolutely you may do more than one glaze. A lot of my paintings here in the last year many of them have had 3 oil glazes. Now, once you need to make sure, of course, that everything's dry first. That goes without saying. Number 2, you need to make sure that you're doing slow dry underneath, fast dry underneath and slow dry on top. Some of you have heard that old-fashioned, truly antiquated, do not use this phrase anymore, fat over lean. That terminology applied essentially to my dad's generation. People in his generation, there's still people that paint this way, don't get me wrong, but I'd say on the whole, most do not. He painted, for that generation, the medium that you added to your oil paints was linseed oil. That was universal. That was almost the only medium they used. And by the way, I'm mixing up, I don't know, some kind of strange orangish, pinkish brown. Yeah, pinkish brown. Sorry I'm not letting you watch me, but that's the way it goes. Okay, now I'm doing some broken color. What I'm trying to do is match values. So here's the color, kind of a pinkish brown, and it's about a number 4 value again. So I'm looking for any areas, anything on this painting that is not pink, which is almost the whole painting is not pink, but that is, in fact, a number 4 value. That's quite the trick. I say it all the time. I say it as though it's easy to spot, to match values, but it's actually not. It's easy to mess up. All right, back to fat over lean and second glazes. Okay, in the olden days, everybody used this is an exaggeration, of course, but almost everybody used linseed oil. Linseed oil is a slow dry medium. Linseed oil is fat because it makes the paint dry more slowly. So in the olden days, when everybody, this is an exaggeration, there were, you know, there were a host of medieval weirdos using all kinds of stuff. But again, most people, the only medium they knew about was linseed oil. That's an exaggeration. Forgive me. I'm going to stop saying that, okay? And in those days, then fat over lean made sense, because if you were adding a medium to your painting, that made it fat, made it dry slower. Nowadays, however, many of us are using let me see, I've got 3 right here, okay? Just for what it's worth. Here's liquid, which of course is I use more than anything else. Neil McGilp I use second most. Walnut alkyd medium. Alkyd, there's your clue that it's fast dry and alkaline as opposed to acidic. An alkaline dryer is added to that medium. So those are 3 mediums right there. They are all considered fast dry, even though for me this is slow dry, but it's just because it compared to liquid. Anyway, so you may do as many glazes as you want, as long as you make sure that with each glaze you have to make sure you're getting a little bit slower with each layer. Does that make sense? And yes, you can do as many glazes as you want. Make sure, okay, I just switched I got rid of the purple, I got rid of the pink brown. Now I have a orange-ish brown. And I'm looking for, and it's about a number, well, it looked darker down here. It looks like a number 3 up here, a number 3 value. So I'm looking for number 3 values. Now let's talk about broken color. And again, forgive me, you old-timers, you hear the same lecture over and over and over again. Why on earth you keep coming back, I don't know, but I'm glad you do. Hello, Uncle 60. Yeah, thank you. That is a big sun effect. Is that okay with you? Does it look good? I think it does. You're getting bad glare here. Let me pick you up just for a second. See if you can get a little bit better sense. Yeah. And here's my photo reference. Right? So you can see where I'm getting that from. It's very possible that at some point here I might come in and paint some of the tree trunks that are right in the epicenter of this sunburst. I might paint them even lighter, so do some opaque light on top, right in that white area right there. All right, let's talk about broken color. Again, my apologies to you regulars. Oh, before I talk about broken color, let me define myself a little bit more. When I do, and this broken color layer is pretty new to me, just in the last year that I've made it a distinct and separate step in my painting process. So that's quite new. But I've come to realize I'm actually doing 2 things. And when I call it the broken color layer, I'm actually doing broken color and pushed color or exaggerated color. Like here's an example of that right here. This is not broken color. That spot right there was already tended toward an orange-ish color, and I just pushed it and made it a more bright orange. Okay, so I made it more intense color. So I feel very comfortable doing that, admitting that, and so forth. So let's look for, oh no, I was going to define broken color. First of all, I've already defined it, but I'll repeat it. It is identical value. Value means lightness, darkness, right? Identical value, but contrasting color. Like what I'm doing right now is actually not broken color. I'm tired. The orange that I've got on my brushes is too boring because there's too much orange here already on this painting. So let's go somewhere. I'll tell you where I normally go. So let's do with my normal broken color technique. I'm going to start with purple. Now, I haven't answered the question why. So what's the big deal? Why broken color? Now I'll tell you. Because it creates some magic. I'm going to use a crazy word. It creates some magic in your painting that nothing else imitates, nothing else touches. This particular type of magic that is achieved with broken color. I'm going to describe that magic to you here in just a second. So right now I have a very intense violet purple. It's about a number 4 or 5 value. Okay, so still a little bit on the light side of things. And one of my followers sent me this, I think it was a TED Talk, where a scientist was explaining broken color. And it was fascinating. And it confirmed what my eyes had been telling me for quite some time. Here's what the scientist said. He said there are 2 parts of your brain that perceive value and color. One part of your brain, if it sees an area of uniform value, light, dark, light, dark, light, dark, then it perceives that as a single entity, as a single shape, if you will, if it's similar lightness, darkness. But then another part of your brain sees that same thing, but if part of it is red and part of it is green, and the red and green are equal in value, that part of your brain sees that as 2 separate objects. And what is happening, according to this man, it sounds fascinating and it conforms with my personal experience, is that your brain is toggling between those 2 contrasting parts of your brain, 2 contrasting responses to what you're seeing. And it is the toggling back and forth that causes your painting to flicker. I know that sounds crazy. It really does sound crazy. And I'm not sure I would have believed it if I weren't already experiencing in a very conscious way. I talked about it. I said, it seems like this broken color thing causes a shimmer, creates a shimmer in your painting. And sure enough, so this guy came along and explained. So because I was already experiencing that effect, it made a lot of sense to me. Confirmed my actual real-time feeling about it. So right now I'm doing purple. Purple is one of my favorite broken color colors. I've talked about this before. I'm going to darken my purple down just a little bit, and I'm going to add a little bit of ultramarine to it, so I'm going to make it bluer. The color purple, especially a dark or deep purple, runs away from the viewer. I'm using silly picturesque language to try to make the point. There's probably a technical name for it. I don't know what it is. I would say it's a recessive color. And this is, in my opinion, this is independent of color temperature, because everybody knows that warms proceed and cools recede. So it might be part of that cool receding, but to me it feels like a different function. And it's parallel to, and forgive me, you guys, you regulars have heard this speech before, but to me it's parallel and opposite to what our eyes do with green. And there's lots of green in this painting, especially this bright green right here. Bright green attacks the viewer's eyes. Purple runs away from the viewer's eyes. Or, to put it in other words, chartreuse green in particular, more than any other. All greens, but especially that chartreuse green. Green proceeds mentally toward the viewer, purple recedes. Therefore, because of that, I can sneak in, like here in the dog's dark underbelly, I can sneak a tiny bit of purple, and it still reads like shadow. I'm taking a long time to get that out. Let me spit it out all at once. So purple can replace dark things in your painting, and they still feel dark, even though you've lightened them up a good deal. Again, because of this receding sense that the color purple does. So I more and more in the last couple of years, I've had fun playing with this effect. I've done it on a number of my tree trunks down here, a little bit in the shadows, shadow this rock. I know that I'm not the only person who's discovered this or experienced this. I'll give you a funny example. How do I know this? Because Disney was all over this principle. I wonder if I've never tried it. I wonder if you could Google how Disney used purple to indicate deep shadow. I don't know, but he did. Watch Disney cartoons. And he often is using quite an intense purple, just like I'm doing right here. In place of a dark, dull color, he would put a fairly intense purple, which is exactly what I'm doing here. All right, that's enough of that. I don't want to get carried away. And Uncle 60 had those steps at the bottom of the path. They're shadows. Travis is correct. They are shadows of the trees. Yep. Light blue Galca gel is excellent. That's a slow. I'm sorry. That is a fast dry medium, right? That just means, what's the product? Is it Gamsol? What's the name of the company? That begins with a G. And they've just put their letter G in front of the word alkyd, so it's Galkyd. It's a fast dry. Good question. All right, let's play around here. I'm going to go to a color red, real dark red. It's a mystery red. I explained yesterday, how can you have a color on your palette that you don't know what it is? It's a long story, but I do. I don't even know what it is. And I'm not crazy about it, whatever it is, so I'm happy to use it up. It's a dark, cool, like close to Naphthol Crimson, not quite as much of a pop. I suspect it might be a student grade paint. And again, go back and listen to yesterday's videos if you want to figure out how can you have a pile of paint on your palette that you don't know what it is or where it came from. Oh, that looks nice. All right, and it's about a number 6 value, I would say. And there's lots and lots and lots of room for red in this broken color red in this painting. Why? because there's tons of green, right? So that, again, that's a tip for doing broken color. Here's a tip. You mix up any color on your brushes, and then when you lift your eyes to look at your painting, you look for the opposite. Now, by the way, those last 3 marks right there that I just put down, you can barely see. There, and there. That is not broken color. That's pushed color, okay? Because those marks are not on top of a green. This, however, right there, that's broken color, because it's right on top of a green leafy area. Now, I somewhat suspect that in years to come, when I become a better painter, I suspect that this broken color layer may not continue to be its own distinct step or phase of the painting process, because it seems to me, if I were a better artist, I could do broken color at the same time that I'm doing the final edit. That makes perfect sense to me. But guess what? I can't do that now. I don't feel like I have the skill or mindset, wherewithal, awareness to pull that off right now. I just don't. So until I am able to pull that off, I'm just not going to worry about it. I'm going to do a separate, like I'm doing, a separate broken color phase or stage. Okay, one more little insight. Now what I'm doing right now, see this tree trunk right here is kind of a brown color. So by adding red to that, this is not broken color, this is pushed color. I'm just exaggerating what was already there. I just want to make that clear. I was going to say one more broken color tip. I am discovering that after doing broken color, I very often, I'm going to switch, by the way, now to, I'm going to add some white. I'm going to create a pink. Woo! My least favorite color. I say that sort of tongue-in-cheek. Bubblegum pink. And partly because I recognize that I have an aversion to using it, therefore I force myself to use it because I recognize my aversion as a weakness. The fact that I don't like bubblegum pink is not because I'm a good artist. No, 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 no. To the extent that I don't like any color is because I'm a not good artist. Because it's a silly, what's the word? A silly prejudice to have. Again, it's like being an artist and say, I refuse to use this or that color. Well, that's just foolishness. What if this or that color is the perfect color for some spot in your painting? Do you follow me? Anyway, so I'm being a little bit arbitrary on myself by forcing myself to use this pink color. But every time I do, I'm glad I did. So, I keep interrupting myself. I'm trying to tell you that after doing broken color, I have found it very helpful to do another glaze layer. Oh, this painting is looking so much better. I've hardly done anything down here. That I'm ignoring it for the moment. I will get down there eventually. I might end this broadcast before I do that, but I certainly need to come down here and work. I'm just so focused on these trees at the moment. So I have found it beneficial to do an additional broken color, an additional glaze after the broken color, because the glaze unifies the canvas a little bit and just causes some of the broken color bits just to settle down ever so slightly so they don't look like they were kind of slapped on as an afterthought, which frankly many of my broken color bits do. Speaking of which, I'm going to soften some of these a little bit with my anti-dotification. Some of you have been with me for a while. You're familiar with that term. You get too many dots in your painting. This is just one way to remedy that. Deploy anti-dotification. release the secret weapon. Gambling, thank you. That's like that's the name of the company. Thank you. That was a pretty crazy mind, whatever, wasn't it? There's a whole page on Disney colors. No kidding. He uses purple for villains. That's hilarious. Thank you, Uncle. I look forward to looking that up. Hey, Lake.
Hi.
How are you? I'm talking to my friends.
Oh.
And drinking some cranberry juice.
You do the same every single video, don't you?
How do you like my painting? You want to come around here where you can see it? What do you think I should do to make it better?
Well, I think you shouldn't color the trees purple.
You know,
just because if you colored them blue, then it would be more like the sun is like.
yeah. So you're not sure about the purple on my trees?
Yeah, and the purple.
Wow.
But that looks a little bit not right.
Looks a little bit not right. Well.
Like a blue or something.
Oh boy. I just put that purple on there on purpose.
And why did you add the dog?
Oh, why did I add the dog? Because that's Ellie. That's Buddy's dog. This painting is for Buddy, and that's Buddy's dog. Oh, here's a picture. Where is it? Here it is. See, does that look like her?
Yes, it does.
Yes, okay, good. Yeah, so that's very special that there's a dog.
And you should add a little more like orangey yellow to that white space in the sun.
Where, in here?
Yeah.
You think that ought to be more orange, yellow, not so much white, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll take all those suggestions seriously, okay? All right, have now a pretty intense phthalo-ish blue. Ooh, that was nice. We do more of that. Ooh, that was nice. I'm not sure what I'm doing with this. What I'm doing right now is broken color or pushed color. I'm not sure, but it's looking nice. That was a nice mark. I just put that blue on that rock and then blue on that one. Yeah, that's okay.
It's looking good.
Okay, careful. I'm afraid I'm gonna step on your bare feet.
It's okay.
Okay, well, now what I'm doing now is not broken color. This is pushing color.
Yes.
There's blue sky up here, and I'm just making it considerably, some part, a little bit of it, considerably bluer. We've used the term sky dots here on this channel quite a bit. I didn't invent that term. One of my viewers did. Thought it was hilarious. It's become a permanent part of our lexicon. Sky holes rendered poorly become sky dots. It's still hard to do sky holes well, but let me give you a couple tips. What I do know about what is it that causes sky holes to become sky dots. Number one is uniform size or shape. If you accidentally start creating too many shapes, too many sky holes, if you will, that are the same size especially, they stop looking like holes in trees and they start looking like blue dots on your tree. Okay, so that's number one. Second is uniform. So all of these have to do with uniformity. Uniform size, uniform shape, and uniform spread, distance from each other. So you want to work very hard when you're doing sky holes. And that's, as you can see, why I'm using very much the extreme blade of my brush, not the point, because the point of a brush will create the same size dot all the time. Well, that actually worked quite well. So I'm trying to create a wide variety of sizes, shapes, and distance from each other. All right? I think I'm okay. Also, uniformity of edge. Here's advanced sky holes. Should they be soft edged or hard? And the answer is both. But until you have some proficiency at sky holes, until you feel confident that you're really nailing it, make all of your sky holes hard edged. The reason I say that is because I've never ever yet once found a student who made their sky holes hard enough. They almost universally tend to make them sky smudges, and they could defend themselves by saying, well, Richard Schmid said they're supposed to be soft. Yeah, but that only means if you understand sky holes like Richard Schmid does. Until you do, you're probably making them horrible smudges. So yes, that is what most students, when they begin trying to do sky holes, they in fact are doing horrible smudges. Sorry to be so blunt. It's for your own good that I'm being blunt. I want you to be a better painter. I'm willing to hurt your feelings just a little bit. That was just a sigh right there, that was. I have a bit of paint. Okay, Lake, I need to use that chair for a minute. Thanks. There's a little bit of impasto on Ellie's hip that is not working. Forgive me, I'm rummaging through. Oh, here we go. I think this knife is sharp. Let's see. Almost. That might work. Hang on. No, that's not. All right, I need that chair, sweetie. I'm gonna move you guys just a minute. Pull my chair out, put you back where you were. Here's a quick little tip lesson for you. What do you do if you ever get a knob, a bump, a pile of paint on your painting somewhere that is not pleasant? You can scrape it off, but do not use an X-Acto knife like that, because the point of it will gouge into your canvas. Okay, So the key issue is you need to use a curved blade like this, because then you can scrape it and the point won't gouge into the canvas. Okay. And then, of course, after I scrape this off, of course, I'll have a little patch that I'll need to repair. I saw this here all day yesterday, and I kept thinking, maybe it'll be okay. Maybe it'll work out all right. But now that I'm this far into the painting, wow, that went all the way to white. That might have been a bit of gesso. And again, if you don't have a knife like that, then a curved jackknife that's sharp enough will do the job as well. Okay, while I'm here, let's just take a minute to patch up that surgery I just did on Ellie. Mix up a medium goldenish brown. Good enough. I actually like the color I'm putting on her right now, so.
Yeah, I think somebody in here thought of surgery.
I don't have a very good picture of Ellie, and I'm sure Buddy would gladly have sent me another one had I squawked about it. But I didn't. I felt like I could get by, and I think I can get by with what I've got here. Buddy, if I butchered Ellie, please let me know, and I'll send me a better picture, and I'll try to fix her. She's pretty pale around the muzzle. There we go. A little bit on top of her ear fold, where her golden, and a little bit of her eyebrows, a little bit more of her eyebrows. Can you believe? So here we are, folks. This is the death control grip, right? Every rule can be broken. Never paint this way, unless, of course, you have to paint this way. This is one of those moments when I do. I have no choice. I have to paint using the dreaded death control grip, because that's what's demanded of me when I'm doing a dog that's 2 inches tall, right? Coloration is, as far as I can tell, pretty much pure golden retriever. Even though she's a mix, golden and something, golden lab, I think. Sorry, buddy, I forgot. You told me. I didn't go back and look it up right now. There we go. It looks all right, but she looks a little smushy. So I'm just scratching her up a little bit with pencil. Half in drawing marks and half in just abstract marks. Hello, Moraid. Good to hear from you again. Everyone's a critic. You're right. They liked your observations, Lake. Uncle asked, do I ever paint to loud rock music? Only at festivals when it's not mine. And David suggests I give more sun outline to the dog. I think you're probably right, David. Uncle asks a very good question. Hello, Nancy. Yes. You can reverse a sky hole. Absolutely. And I recommend that pretty strongly. That's what I mean. You go back and forth when the right way to paint trees, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Dark light, dark light, dark light. So you are, in fact, reversing sky holes sort of on a regular basis. All right. Yeah, let's do some more. I did a little bit of sun there at the last second, David, but I think you're right. Part of the problem is I don't really have my photograph doesn't help me much. So I'm on my own here. Oh yeah, much better. Not crazy about some of that I just did. When in doubt, scribble. Hey. I liked it better when the light was just on the very edge of Ellie. So we got on the subject a while ago about doing more than one glaze. Let me answer that in practical terms. So if I do another glaze on this painting, which I would say is 60-40 likely that I will not use liquid again. I will use probably Neil McGill, which is technically a fast dry medium, but that just means it's fast dry compared to linseed oil. It's a very slow dry compared to liquid. So I will use what is for me a slow dry. All right, I think I've about beat this horse to death, if you will. I need to do a little bit of broken color down here in the bottom part of this painting. And I have another entire other painting that I'm working on. I'll show it to you for a second. Very, very different subject matter. And I'm going to do the same thing to this, but I probably won't broadcast. That is, I'll do a color glaze, broken color, and so forth. All right, so thank you again for your company, all of you, your tips and thoughts and feedback. I'm sitting back with my arms folded looking at this painting. You want proof? You want proof that that's what I'm doing? There. That's actually what I'm doing. I'm very happy with the progress that I made in this painting in the last hour. But I'll probably give it one more day. Look at it one more time. Might do another glaze on top of it. All right, maybe it's very close to done. I don't know. Anyway, thanks again for your company. Thanks, Lake, for your help.
Thanks.
Love y'all. Bye. Oh, Nancy, $2. Thank you so much. I appreciate that very much. The rest of you, please give me a thumbs up. And Merry Christmas to you, Nancy. Appreciate that. I always forget to say thumbs up. So do that. Give me a like, and if you hadn't hit the bell so that you're notified when I broadcast, if you want to be notified, hit that bell. Okay, thanks. Bye.